Yo guys, what's up? Corey the Sandman Sandhagen here. Welcome to the channel or the station, whatever it is that you want to call it. Today we're going to do a post-fight breakdown, Leon versus Covington. You know, not the most exciting fight in the world, but that's okay. Let's talk about a few of the things that went really good for Leon and then a few of the things that Colby didn't do that good. And just because I'd kind of love to shit on Colby a little bit too. So let's get into it. All right, guys, first things first. So let's talk about kind of how Leon's movement style works a little bit, okay? So Leon is kind of this like really tight, super fundamental, but if you do the fundamentals good enough, it becomes really, really beautiful and unique in its own right of just being so advanced in the fundamentals that, like I said, it just looks really unique on its own by being so fundamental, which is cool. But Leon moves in a way where he's kind of here rocking, feinting forward, but nothing really changes too much in his guard, which is awesome. Like he's very efficient in the way that he moves. It's not a ton of like, you know, big sways. He stays really tight in his guard. He stays really close to the floor. He kind of rocks, give these looks. To me, it kind of looks almost like a vintage car. Like it's just really awesome. It's not over techy or over complicated. It's super simple stuff, but like I said, when the fundamentals are done at such a high level, it becomes really unique in its own. So that's really awesome on Leon's style. A few things that we can take away from this fight, well, three things that we're going to take away from this fight on the Leon end of things is this kind of like pacing, being here, boom, here, dropping, and then throwing this overhand on his backside when Colby was lefty. Also, this chopping left low kick on Colby where he was kicking the shit out of his legs, which was super awesome. Was definitely doing a lot more damage than what they actually looked like in the earlier rounds, but over a 25-minute fight, if you could score a few really good low kicks, it's definitely going to pay off for you later in the fight. Last thing we'll talk about is Leon's ability to get up, which was super awesome. I'm starting to figure out, or you know, I've had it figured out for a little bit, but it's just keeps getting emphasized over and over and over again that these American wrestler styles of fighting are only really good for getting takedowns. They're not super great at holding people down for the most part, which is why it's kind of disappearing a little bit. Like the wrestler transition into being able to take people down to being able to hold people down is something that not a lot of guys are doing super well. That's why the Dagestani guys are being praised so much. I would argue that their wrestling is likely just as good as all the American guys, but what the Dagestani guys do is that they bridge that gap in MMA where it's like, okay, I could take you down and I can actually hold you down, and in MMA that really matters, because if that's not the case, you're just kind of getting takedowns just to score points, make the guy tired, make it look like you're winning. If you can do some damage, cool. But like I said, guys are getting so good where the get-ups and people standing up is a real thing, and you don't get to just get away with being able to take someone down and hold them down as easily as you could in the past. So we'll get into those three things. Elias, can I use you? I'll use, Elias decided to wear the same exact shit as me, but shout out to my boy Sheath. Sponsoring the videos, of course, but first things first, okay? Stand lefty. Colby's a lefty most of the time, okay? Or not Colby, Leon, okay? So we're fighting here like this. Colby's circling a lot to his left. I don't really know why, to be honest. I think that he likely was really afraid of this backside round kick. If you circle this way into a lefty's like really strong side, whether it's open stance or closed stance, it doesn't really matter. Leon looks like he kicks like a horse, so my guess is Colby really put too much eggs in the basket of wanting to stay away from this here, like how he knocked out Kamaru. But that would be my guess as to why he was circling left almost the entire fight, which if you're only going to go in one direction, people are going to figure out how to attack that. If you're being more dynamic and working in two directions, it's a little bit harder for the person attacking to try to like narrow you down and find out what it is that you're doing, but Colby didn't do that because he's not the greatest striker in the world. So, first things first. Leon was definitely playing the counter game, okay? He wasn't being overextended on anything that he was doing. He was like, Colby's chance at winning is to take me down. If he doesn't take me down, he doesn't win. He put a lot of eggs in that basket, which is why I think the fight was a little bit slower, but really smart, okay? So we're fighting here. Colby would throw like a really committed attack. Leon would drop super fast and then throw this left hand. When you're doing that, guys, you want to think of your feet like a plyometric step, okay? You don't want to sink into your hip when you're trying to be quick, okay? Just like if I was going to jump in the air, like on a split moment, I wouldn't bend and jump really big. I'd be like tiny bend, jump in the air, using mostly just the spring in my calves, okay? So when you're doing this drop step overhand off of their jab, boom, I don't sink so much where I lose that plyometric ability. I let my foot touch and I explode into it. When you explode into it, you don't over explode past this leg. You just boom, and then you're back to your face. Go again. Drop, I plyo, boom. I don't overextend. I don't go over my hips and over my leg so I fall into things. Maintaining position is mega important in fighting. I drop, boom, I hit, and he was cranking that out like really, really good in that fight. The other thing that Leon was doing really good in the striking was the low kicks. So like I said, Colby's circling super hard left for whatever reason. It's a really easy leg to chop on when they're going in the, if we're both lefty and he's circling left. Reason being is because if we're in front of each other and I low kick, just without moving my feet, I'm kind of in this 50-50 spot where if Elias wants to check, he can check. If he wants to try to punch me and meet me, he could try to do that. But if someone's circling to their left, they're already putting themselves at an angle where I don't need to make any steps to get off of their shoulders, which is really important when you're kicking, okay? Colby's doing that. He's circling. Doesn't really have a super great ability to check just by the nature of circling left and moving your feet a lot. Like if I'm a lot more stationary and Elias goes to kick me, I have more ability to check than if my feet are constantly moving. It's a lot more difficult like that, which seems a little bit counterintuitive because you'd think the more you would move, the less your legs would get kicked, but that's not really the case if someone's really good at it. So Leon, again, not overcommitting. Colby circles. He just chops and comes back into a stance. Super fast, super sharp. Comes back into position amazingly. Hat off to Leon just because he's obviously a super phenomenal fighter. Like I said, more of on the vintage style of fighting. But again, that can be beautiful in its own right too. Let's get into the last thing, which is just how Leon was able to get up, which I thought was super awesome. It looked like he had drilled that thing 1,000 times. It's one of those tiny moments in a fight that get maybe a little bit overlooked, but it was super awesome. So let's talk about that real quick. All right, guys, so let's get into what happened with Leon. Okay. So Colby finally gets Leon down, gets to about here, okay? When Colby goes to posture up, Leon follows super good. It, like, again, so smooth, like so fundamental. Looks unique because it's just so smooth and fundamental. But Colby goes up, boom. Leon sticks his head in a spot where Colby can't really hit him anymore. You know, he kind of goes a little bit under his arm. He looks like he was here. It was pay-per-view, so I didn't get to rewatch it super close. But he was here like this. He builds up to a frame, starts to circle out, and then builds himself out. This is really cool because usually when you're in like your fundamental or even intermediate, sometimes advanced jiu-jitsu or MMA classes, people are teaching you to stand up and base more like this on the face, okay? Which is cool. It kind of gives this guy a little bit of opportunity. Like if Elias did want to start hitting me, he could. Boom. Or if he did want to like drop underneath my arm, get a body lock, like that's just annoying to deal with. It was cool to see Leon, when Colby went to posture up, get to here, okay? This feels like a super strong spot. I have a really strong frame on him. I'm here, okay? The part that looks super smooth is the way that he shifted his body and built himself out like this. Let me do it a little bit more at this angle. He builds himself out, boom, and then centers again. You can't just build out and stay like this. You're going to get your back taken, like Elias is just going to go behind me, or he's going to try to get in front of me, which is a little bit harder, but when he does, he's going to be able to run me over again. If I build out and I keep Elias square with me as I'm building, I never lose this frame being super strong on Leon. So like I said, man, super awesome fight from like a vintage, like classic, super fundamental style. I thought that Leon did what he needed to do. He probably could have opened up a lot more and hurt Colby, which we were all hoping was going to happen. But overall, just like a really good fight. So work on those 3 things, guys. Drop step, overhand, do it like a plyometric. If you're lefty and the other guy's lefty and they're circling super hard away from your power, kick him in the leg. It's like really, really easy. And then last thing, this really awesome getup is something that you guys can drill over and over and over again. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe, of course. I still really love teaching martial arts. I like teaching what it is that's actually happening in fights so that, you know, people can understand a little bit better, because there is a lot of beauty in all of these fights, even in the slower ones. So yeah, make sure that you guys like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.